Ashe, Ma'at Hotep. This is The Truth May Hurt. My name is Raymond Witcher, and I am your host. I would like to say grand rising to everyone. Welcome back, and welcome back to The Truth May Hurt. Today is Sunday, February the 1st, 2026. As usual, I want to mark myself safe from church today. I'm not going to attack the believers that may be watching this for the first time. I just had to break away from church. I had to break away from being a believer because my Creator didn't make me to believe. People find it strange when I say, they say, well, Ray, why you're not a believer anymore? Because I realize my Creator never made me to be a believer. I was convinced to be a believer. I realized that my Creator made me to know, made me to be knowledgeable, made me to be wise. I have been trained, as all of us have, from a child to be a believer. So I'm doing a video on what we have been told, the standards that we've been given to follow, and the fact that, here's the title, were we told to believe it all? Were we told to believe all of the Bible or none of the Bible? All of my life, I have always been told that, hey, you got to believe all of the Bible. You got to believe all of it. If you don't believe all of it, then you don't believe the Bible. You have to believe all of it to get to heaven. You have to believe the whole Bible, word for word. Okay? The Catholic Church, when they promoted the Bible as error-free, infallible, and perfectly written. Those are the standards. Those are the standards that they gave us first to believe in, and the requirement that we need to believe all of the Bible or none of it. Word for word. It's infallible and it's perfectly written. Okay. Well, when I find errors in the Bible, why am I looked at as a villain? I didn't write it. When I have questions that I need answers to, why am I told, well, you're not supposed to question the Bible? Well, who told you that? If it is infallible, if it is error-free, and it's perfectly written, they should get excited when somebody has a question, because they should have an answer. It shouldn't be something that the only answer that you have is, well, all you got to do is believe, or you can't understand God. Who told you that? Okay, so it's enough. It's enough, because I found, and on The Truth May Hurt, I've shown errors from Genesis 1 all the way to Revelations 22. Okay, so I want to look at some things. I want to show you some things. I want to show you why believing is a very dangerous position to be put in, to put ourselves in. Nobody can make us believe. It's a choice. When I first realized that I had been lied to, that I had been deceived, that I had been prostituted, pimped out through the church, because they sell this thing where, you owe God 10%. No, you don't. Listen, have you ever heard or seen the devil short of money? Have you ever seen atheists or whoever may believe in the devil going around saying, we need money? Now, God is the one that created everything, and he said, I don't need man for anything. I made the air he breathes. I made the air he breathes, and it's something else. So he made it clear that he doesn't need man to help him or provide anything for him. So who's asking for money? See, they got us tricked in this thing. But what I want to stick to is the standards that we've been given is that the Bible is historical, that it's error-free, infallible, and perfectly written. We need to believe all of the Bible or none of it. And they've been drilling this into our heads since we were children. See, when we can instill these kind of fears into the minds of a child, is the foundation of their behavior, and everything is based on that. And when you can convince a child that, oh, if you do these things, you're going to go to hell and burn on a fire, man, it's a torturous thing. And it's all done because this is what you believe. And nobody's really ever given us any evidence that any of this is true or historical. So I want to show you a few things, and then we're going to ask the same questions, okay? I'm going to ask the same questions, and I would encourage you to ask the same questions. How can this have so many errors? How can it have so many unbelievable events that aren't recorded anywhere outside of the Bible? The only place you're going to find these things are in the Bible. Why do we have so many different denominations of churches? All of them believe different things. They have their variations. Well, we don't believe this here. Well, we don't believe this here. Well, we don't believe any of those. We believe this. It's because it gives everybody a choice to be in a church, and they give that 10% to paralyze that mind, to put you into this system of believing you have a Savior. You see, when you can put people in circumstances and situations where they have lost hope, that happiness is a dream. Happiness is something that seems unachievable unless you're dreaming about it. When you can put people in a financial situation that now I don't know how I'm going to feed my family. I don't know. I'm losing everything, or I just lost everything. You're putting people in a position that they feel that they need a Savior. So the biggest part of American society, and I'm going to say the European societies, the one that go around, the European societies that went around and colonized and enslaved, the Arab societies that go around pushing Islam, is to put the majority of people in that society in situations that they're living from day to day. And they know that at any minute, I could be bottom side up, upside down. I could be on the street and not have a place to live. They have lost. They are lost in their situation to the point that they feel that I can never get out of this unless I have a Savior to lead me out. Okay? So we'll have to overcome that fear that they have instilled in us. We need to remember, I did in previous videos, that most fairy tales start off with either once upon a time or in the beginning. Most fairy tales have unbelievable things that happen. They have a heroic character, and there's a couple more things. Let me see if I can find them right quick. Okay, if you do a search on what are the things that make up a fairy tale. Okay, common elements of fairy tales. Fairy tales are characterized by several common elements that contribute to their charm and appeal. These elements include magical elements. The Bible starts off with a magical element. In the beginning, God created the heavens and earth. Magical. Enhance objects, spells, and curses that add a layer of wonder to the story. Starting to sound like the Bible. Okay. Moral lessons, stories that often convey important life lessons or values such as kindness, bravery, and honesty. Universal themes, themes that resonate with people across different cultures such as love, friendship, and overcoming adversity. Repetition, the use of repetitive phrases and events which help to create a rhythm and a memorable structure. Okay, happy endings. Most fairy tales conclude with a happy resolution, often leading to the character living happily ever after. These elements work together to create a narrative that is both entertaining and educational, making fairy tales a beloved genre in literature and storytelling. Okay? It sounds just, the Bible has every one of these storytelling fairy tale elements. Every one of them. Okay? Do fairy tales usually have animals? Yes, fairy tales usually have animals. Animals play a significant role in fairy tales, often serving as a key figure to drive the narrative forward and provide moral lessons. They can act as they can act as protagonists, antagonists, or guides, embodying traits that reflect human emotions and societal values. For example, animals like wolves, foxes, and owls are commonly featured in fairy tales, each symbolizing different aspects of human nature. Okay? The Bible is full of animals, unicorns. Matter of fact, there are no unicorns, you know. So that's a part of a fairy tale. Things that don't exist. Okay, so when the Bible is talking about unicorns, listen, if there had ever been unicorns, we would have skeletons of unicorns. The Bible talks about dragons. We don't have any skeletons of dragons, okay? So I'm showing you the things that the Bible has in it that make up fairy tales, okay? Okay, do fairy tales have unbelievable stories? Fairy tales often contain unbelievable stories. Fairy tales often contain unbelievable stories that reflect reality in a way that allows children to explore and relate to their own experiences. They can include themes of magic, monsters, and moral lessons that may seem fantastical but are grounded in reality. For example, the stories of Cinderella, Snow White, illustrate the struggles of growing up and the importance of kindness and courage. Okay, so these are the things, the exact same things that the stories that are told in the Bible, that we are being told actually happen. Believe it word for word. This is God-inspired word. No, it's not. This is a fairy tale. Okay? It's full of everything in it is from the start, from Genesis all the way to the end of Revelations. It has all of these characteristics making it up. Unbelievable things that we find confidence in. Only God could have done that. And God can do anything. You can't understand God. Listen, man, those aren't answers. Okay? I can't understand Goldilocks. I can't understand Cinderella. I can't understand Mickey Mouse. Okay? So people will hold on because that's what we have been, that's what has been embedded in our first memories from childhood. When you can burn, this is why we have to stop this curse. This is why we have to stop teaching our children this stuff. This is why we have to stop taking our children up into that church. You see, the church was put in place to control, first of all, the children. First of all, the church was put in place to control the mind of a child. Because when you can burn that into a child's brain, you can't get it out of their head. Especially when it's been burning there for 10, 15, 20 years. And now you're starting to ask questions. And you're going against everybody in your family that's telling you, do you know how dangerous that is? You can't go against God. What makes you think I'm going against God? Because I need answers to a question, or I found lies, or I found contradictions. Why do people that you tell this, your family, your friends, your wives, your husband, listen, I have a problem with this. Why do they, because they instill fear, why do they tell you you're going against God? Their training picks right up. You're going to hell. You're going to be sorry. Do you know how dangerous it is questioning the Bible? Listen, all of these things have been embedded into our heads that we're gonna, we really believe. See, believers, and I was one of them. I'm not bashing a believer. I'm just trying to tell you that God didn't make you to believe. We will defend our religious beliefs more than anything else. We're going to defend that because that's our only way out. That's our only way to salvation. That's the only way I won't end up burning in hell. All of this fear that's been instilled all of these years, that's what it boils down to. Okay, let's look at a few things. Now I'm showing you. Now I'm going to show you some fairy tales. Now I'm going to show you some of these unbelievable stories. Look. Now I'm going to show you some of these unbelievable stories. Okay. Now I'm going to show you that there are so many things in the Bible that are being taught as historical that you can't even find any evidence of it anywhere outside of the Bible. That's a problem. Anytime, the only place that you can find something is in one book, it's probably not true, especially today. Anytime that only one person is reporting something that's true, it probably didn't happen. Okay? So let's look at a couple of things. All right. Okay, now as I've said, I try to hold myself together, and because this is not a comedy show, okay? But some of the things, man, is just so ridiculous. Because they don't teach this. They don't preach these verses. See, ministers don't preach all of the Bible. They're not gonna have Bible study over the whole Bible. And if they do, they have the people in Bible study in such a trance that they will believe whatever the pastor says it says, or says it means. But there's no way that a pastor, a minister, the pope, the priest, or anybody else can stand on the platform and tell me that the Bible is historical and everything in it happened, and then read something like this, and the only place you can find it is inside of the Bible. Now, if this had really happened, this is more miraculous than Jesus being crucified and resurrecting from the dead. Because it says here in Matthew 27, verses 51 through 53, claims that many dead saints were raised. Why is there no external historical records of such a massive miracle? Now you remember, fairy tales, one of the elements of telling fairy tales is miracles, right? Okay. This is a miracle. Jesus Christ's resurrection was a miracle. This miracle is bigger than Jesus Christ getting up out of the grave, because it says at the moment the veil of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth quaked and the rocks were split. The tombs broke open, and the bodies of many saints who had fallen asleep were raised after Jesus' resurrection. When they had come out of the tombs, they entered the holy city and appeared to many people. Woo! Man. Tell me that's not a big miracle. Tell me, why this is not recorded anywhere in the holy city. It says they appeared to many in the holy city and appeared to many people. Hold on for a second, because I think they walked around with them for days. Hold on. Okay, so do a search on why are there no records outside the Bible of dead rising after Jesus' resurrection. If this had happened, as important that Jesus' resurrection is to Christianity, because it's the foundation of Christianity. It is the purpose of Christianity. It is the only means of salvation according to Christianity. If this had happened, and it happened the way Scripture says, where many dead rose from their graves, they went into the holy city, and they were seen by many. If that had happened, it would be recorded all the way throughout that area. Okay, the holy area, Jerusalem, Palestine, Egypt, everywhere through those areas. Okay, so do a search on, why isn't it recorded in the West? And it says the event is primarily a theological claim emphasizing faith rather than historical documentation. But all you got to do is believe. See, people want to get out of there. See, people are more worried about going to hell when they die. Christianity has Christians so afraid of going to hell when they die and burn on a fire for eternity that they ignore the hell, the real living hell that we are living in every day, and say, that's okay, I don't have to worry about that when I die because I'm going to heaven. What? You've been scammed. Okay, and I'm trying to show you that if the dead had gotten up out of the grave and the earth quaked and it broke open rocks, it quaked so much that it broke open rocks, and it opened the graves, the dead got out, they went in the holy city, and they walked around and with many people, and it tells you the event is primarily of a theological claim emphasizing faith rather than historical documentation. Early Christian communities focused on spreading the message of Jesus rather than recording historical events. Right. Okay. Yeah, but the only place they could record it is in the Bible. It took time to write it in the Bible, but that's the only place that they thought it was important to write. Now you got to remember, they didn't write the Bible, they didn't write the New Testament until 50, 60 years after Jesus was dead. Okay. Many ancient texts have been lost or destroyed, limiting our access to contemporary accounts. Non-Christian historians of the time may not have viewed the event as sufficient or credible. It didn't happen. The resurrection narrative served a specific purpose in Christian doctrine, which may not have been relevant to other cultures. If dead people got up out of the grave and Jesus rose from the dead, dead people got out of the grave, I don't care which religion you were in, I don't care what you were practicing. If you saw that, you would be telling people about it. You wouldn't be going, shh, don't tell anybody. Shh. You would be running your mouth. Lord, I just saw the dead people get up out of the grave. Why did they get out of the grave? Because Jesus rose from the dead. Man, that would be documented in just about every historical book. And for them to say, another reason that they say that, I'm going to show you the 10 plagues too, that it wasn't recorded because they weren't doing good record keeping at that time. Well, that's a lie. Because the Egyptians and people in the Egyptian area, they were the first record keepers. Okay. The resurrection narratives serve a specific purpose in Christian doctrine, which may not have been relevant to other cultures. The lack of collaborating evidence does not negate the belief held by many Christians regarding the resurrection. But it's a belief. See, you can't destroy a belief. That's why they only want you to believe. You cannot destroy. The only way you can destroy a belief is when you are put in a position that you absolutely can't dispute it. Absolutely. As long as you can rationalize it, man, you'll never stop believing. But here's an example of how here's an example of one of the only ways that, well, a couple of examples that you can just make a person's belief go away. I don't care how long you've been believing that from Virginia, you can go out to 95 and go 95 south and go to New York. I don't care how long you have believed, and I don't care how people have been telling you all of your life. Well, if you want to go to New York, you go out here to 95 and you go 95 south, and it'll take you straight to New York. You've been hearing this all your life. Your mother's told you, your father's told you, your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles, but none of them have ever been to New York. Somebody told them how to go to New York. And they told your grandparents, and your grandparents told your parents, and your parents told you to get to New York. You go to 95 and you go south, and you just keep going and you can't miss it. That's the only way to get to New York. And you pack your family up in the car and you go to 95 and you go 95 south and you end up in Miami, and you go to people and say, well, 95 is in there, where's New York? And they tell you it's 2,000 miles going north from here. If you had went north from Virginia, it's 350 miles. So until you can show a believer something, I don't care how much you don't believe you're pregnant. I don't care how much a woman, she ignores every sign. She's missed a period. Her breasts are getting full of milk. She's gained weight, and she's ignored all of that. She's even taken a pregnancy test, and the pregnancy test said you're pregnant. And she said the pregnancy test is lying. I don't believe that. Yeah, well, when the labor pains hit and your baby is born, what do you believe then? You don't need to believe then. You were pregnant. So until believers, that's what makes believers so dangerous, because the Baptists will preach, if you want to get to heaven, you need to go through this way. And the Catholic will tell everybody, if you're not a Catholic, you're not going to heaven. All of them are breakaways from the Catholic Church. Okay, so believing, it changes, because when you stop believing part of this, then you'll go somewhere else and start your own church and take the part out you don't like. Hey, we're going to heaven. Everybody can't be going to heaven in all these churches. You can believe what you want to believe, even if this was true. Even if this was true. 6 different denominations: the Catholic, the Eastern Orthodox, the Presbyterian, Evangelical, Pentecostal, and non-denominational. Okay. How many different versions of the Bible are there? There are over 450 Bible versions. Okay. Well, you need, I understand that there needs to be a version for every language, but I don't think 450 different languages. Well, let me take a look. Okay, so they're saying that, we can understand that you need an English translation, a Spanish translation, a German translation, so that makes sense. Denominational variations. Different Christian denominations have distinct theological perspectives leading to unique translations. Different. Historical context. Many versions reflect the historical and cultural context of the time they were translated. Textual sources. Scholars use different manuscripts. What do you mean scholars use different manuscripts? And textual traditions, resulting in variations in wording and interpretations. Now, wait a minute. So the interpretation of one Bible is different from the interpretation of another? Then how is it still God's unchanging word? Literary styles. Some variations prioritize readability and modern language, while others maintain a more traditional and formal style. Now, all of this is in Greek for the English. I don't know, I don't have the Spanish Bible or these others. But when it comes to the English Bibles, they got rid of every other translation but the Greek translation, the English translation. Okay, purpose and audience. Certain traditions are tailored for specific audience, such as children, scholars, and devotional readers. Okay, don't worry about it too much. They made it up. It's not real. It's not historical. It's not what they said it was. Now remember, if the Bible is error-free, infallible, and perfectly written, and I find errors in it, then it discredits all of it. You see, I don't have to be right about everything I show you. I'm betting I'm over 95%. I may misstate something. I may misquote something from doing it from memory because I'm reading, I'm narrating, and I'm trying to keep up with different things. But when it comes down to what I'm telling you, I'm more accurate than the Bible. I'm way more accurate than the Bible because the Bible has to be 100% right. If it is error-free, infallible, and perfectly written, it can't have one mistake in it. And I've shown you. Every video I'm showing you is full of mistakes. So I don't have to be right all the time. I'm not proclaiming that I'm not making a mistake, that I'm error-free and I'm infallible. The Bible is doing that. And as long as they have us in the grasp that you're not supposed to ask questions, you're not supposed to question the Bible, you're supposed to take it word for word and believe what it says, and all of it happened just like the Bible said, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. That's why I say I marked myself from church today. They want to send around a collection plate. Listen, when I found out that I had been lied to all of my life, that the church is the biggest gang, mafiosos on earth, the Catholic Church. Okay, they're the real gangsters. Okay, a lot more mafioso came from Vatican City than Italy with the Italian mob. They don't have nothing on the Catholic Church. But when I found this out, man, I was so mad. I was mad. I called my attorney and I wanted to sue the church. And he said, Mr. Richard, why do you want to sue the church? I said, because they've lied to me. He said, well, what did they lie to you about? I said, they lied to me about everything. that Jesus is the Son of God, um, heaven and hell and this, that, and the other. He said, well, Mr. Witcher, he said, you can't sue the church. And I said, why? He said, which church? I said, all of them. And he kind of chuckled a little bit. He said, you can't sue the church, Mr. Witcher. And I said, why? He said, two reasons. Number one, you don't have enough money. He said, you gave all your money to the church, remember? And I'm like, God damn, I felt so stupid. He said, the only thing they asked you to do is believe. They didn't force you to believe. They just said, all you need to do is believe, Mr. Witcher, and you chose to believe. What can I do? Other than tell the truth, other than expose the lies, other than doing what I'm doing. Okay? Okay, when we start talking about the 10 biblical floods, the only place that is recorded basically is in the Bible. Okay? Now, you can find some arguments about it. I'm not saying that you can't find some arguments about it, but you can't find evidence. Okay? There are some people that said that they found some chariot wheels in the bottom of the Red Sea, where Moses was supposed to have crossed, and the chariots were closed in by the sea. But I'm not saying they didn't find chariot wheels, but when you look at the chariot wheels that they found and they brought up as their evidence, when you look at those chariot wheels, you can date the time that these wheels were being made by the Egyptians, because they were different wheels during different time periods. And those wheels don't match the wheels that would have been on the chariots during the time that Moses went across the Red Sea. People, you can look up. I'll tell you one thing you can look up. You can look up shipwrecks in the Red Sea during and after the time of Moses. A lot of ships went down in the Red Sea. What did those ships have on them? Horses and chariots. So, yeah, you could find chariot wheels and chariots and other parts of the Egyptian culture during that time, because they used ships to get across to the other side to fight wars. So I don't accept that as evidence because you found chariot wheels. They haven't found any real evidence of anything in the Bible. The only thing in the Bible that they can use as evidence are the the first and second book of Maccabees, because the Maccabees brothers, they are historical. Okay, so is the Bible error-free, infallible, and perfectly written? While the Bible is considered error-free, infallible, and perfectly written, depends on theological perspectives. The doctrine of the Bible inerrancy holds that the original manuscripts are without error in all they affirm. While many Christians believe the Bible is divine and trustworthy, others point to traditional, historical, or manuscript variations. There are changes. It's not, you can't rely on it. Anything that you have variations, you can't come to me and tell me that we don't have a problem. Right? Inerrancy and infallible. Proponents argue that because the Bible is inspired by a perfect God, it is inerrant, without error, and infallible, and capable of error. And this is what we've always been told. This is what I've always been told, that it is incapable of error. And I'm showing you every video I've had. I have 85 videos up here now on the Truth and Error, and all of them are showing that it is in error. It is fallible, and it's nowhere close to being perfectly written. Okay, it is seen as completely true in matter of theology, history, and science properly interpreted. It is seen as completely true in matters of theology, history, and science, properly interpreted. Original copies. Many scholars differentiate between the original inspired manuscripts, autographs, and modern translations, while the original texts are deemed inerrant. Copies and translations may contain minor human errors, though these do not typically affect the core doctrine. What I have been showing you are not minor errors. Oh man, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, original copies, manuscripts. Opponents of inerrancy emphasize that this accuracy applies primarily to the original text written by the apostles. Well, the apostles didn't write it because they were illiterate. And prophets, they didn't write it because they were illiterate. Acknowledging that thousands of years of copying have introduced minor errors in later copies. Okay, I needed to come and edit this in. When I was saying that, when they were saying that the apostles wrote or the disciples wrote, and I said they didn't write because they were illiterate, I was saying that in the context of their historical view. The real thing about them is they didn't exist. They're in the fairy tale of the Bible. Okay, they are mythical characters of the Bible. Okay, none of them have last names or anything like that. So I wanted to mention that, and I wanted to mention that when I'm showing evidence that the theologians don't agree on if the Bible is historical or mythical, and here, to understand the historical nature of the Bible, consider the following points. Diverse opinions. Biblical scholars have varying views on the historical accuracy of the Bible. The biblical scholars don't agree. The theologians don't agree. These are supposed to be the experts. Now, if they're supposed to be the experts, why can't they agree that it is historical? They don't. So none of these guys in the Bible, outside of the Bible, collectively agree. And the Christians that have followed the faith, that we have questions, the only thing we can get is all we need to do is believe. Okay? And nobody knows. Nobody can agree. Okay? So that's why we got to get out of the believing business. Our Creator did not make us to believe, He made us to know. Okay, archaeological findings. Archaeology sometimes supports biblical narratives, but not always conclusively. All right, so what I'm trying to show you is they can't get their minds together. Nobody is agreeing. None of the theologians, all of the theologians don't agree. All of the biblical scholars don't agree. Mark, Luke, Matthew, John, they don't agree. Paul doesn't agree with himself. Okay, so I wanted to edit this in because I don't think I had put this into it, but we're gonna pick right back up. Right, the Bible is viewed as perfect in its intended divine message, even if it contains phenomenological language describing events as experienced, like the sun. Okay, so it has changed. It's not something that you can depend on. If you were in science or if you were in medicine and you were doing research and you were looking up things and you had to use the Bible, they couldn't use it because it's unreliable, it's undependable, it's unverifiable, it has no evidence. Okay, so who said we must believe all of the Bible or nothing? The sentiment that one must accept the entire Bible as true, rather than picking and choosing, is frequently attributed to a Christian author and theologian like A.W. Tozer, who stated, Nothing less than a whole Bible can make a whole Christian. Similar arguments have been made by various evangelists and scholars, emphasizing that the Bible is a complete, unbreakable authority. Okay? So you can't tell me that. I have to take it all or nothing. And you're telling me that it's error-free and it is infallible, it's perfectly written. But when I find errors, I'm just supposed to take it. Come on, man. You know, that's the control that they've had over people's minds. How did they maintain this control? By the fear that I'm going to burn in hell. And by everybody around you ostracizing you, anathematizing you, blackballing you. And, like Paul says, hey, if you're not coming teaching the good teaching of Jesus Christ, don't let them in your house. And I think it's 2 John, it's John 2:10. John says, if anybody comes teaching anything other than the good teaching of Jesus Christ, mark them. In other words, like put an X on their forehead so that all of the believers know to stay away from you. Okay? So it is a control document. It is it's a slavery book. Okay? There's no doubt about it. But when it comes down to believing, it's one of the most dangerous things you can do. Your Creator didn't make you to believe. This book was beaten into our ancestors until it was accepted. The thing that I want you to remember is we have 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 great-grandparents, 16 great-great, 32 great-great-great-great, 64 great-great-great-great-great. And if you do this equation back 500 years, you have 1,543 ancestors that it took to make you. That's only if you go back 500 years. Go back 5,000, all of those count. Go back 5 million, all of those count. My point is, when they sold our ancestors, when they enslaved our ancestors, when they beat this book into their heads and on their backs until it was accepted and we started teaching our children this, they didn't just beat our ancestors, they beat me, they beat you, because you were here. You just were not in your human form. You got this, your genetics have always been here. That's what makes you, that's what makes me, our genetics. That's why they had to break our spirituality. Because when we rejoin our spirituality, we realize, man, you didn't beat my great-great-great-grandparents. You beat me. You didn't rape my grandmother. You raped me. You didn't hang my uncles and great-grandparents from trees. You hung me. And the whole time you were doing that, this book, this Bible was telling me to forgive you, to turn my other cheek, to be kind to my master, like in 2 Peter. Even the cruel ones, be kind to them. God never said these things, and I'm showing you that you can't rely on what these people say God said. Today is Sunday. I hope you didn't go to church. I hope you didn't give them 10%. The devil isn't going around asking and raising money. That's because the one that they say in the Bible is God is the devil, and the one that they say that the devil is the good guy. The devil in the Bible only can kill 10 people. And the only way he could kill them is because the one that the Bible says God said kill him. Go ahead, have your way with him. But he loves them. God has destroyed the world and killed everybody here but 8 people because he made a mistake. God said he repented that he made man. He is so disgusted with man that now I'm going to kill everybody. I'm going to kill every human creature. I'm going to kill every human except these 8 people that are going to start and regenerate, replenish earth. I'm going to kill all of the animals. I'm going to kill all the bugs and everything because I messed up. Okay? Now, we've heard all our lives that God doesn't make a mistake. God loves us. We've all heard, what is the other thing? God knows everything. Okay, the Bible also says that we are predestined from birth, that our lives, everything that happens, God planned it. Okay, now if you go to Genesis chapter 5 and read verses 5 through 8, God said he regret that he even made you. I'm gonna kill everybody. The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become. Now wait a minute, let me stop right there. Okay, so when I see things like human race wasn't even started. Human race wasn't used until the 19th century. So how was human race recorded in Genesis? How is human race mentioned in Genesis that the Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become? Human race wasn't an identification. And at this particular time, there was no human race. There were just humans, okay, had become on earth. And that every inclination of thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time. The Lord regretted that he had made human beings on the earth, and his heart was deeply troubled. So the Lord said, I will wipe from the face of the earth the human race I have created. He didn't create but one race. He didn't create a race. He created human. There was no race. There wasn't a race until there became a categories of people: white, black, Asian. That's what started the human race. There were only humans when this creation story was done. All right? Race that I have created. And with them the animals, the birds, and the creatures that move along the ground, for I regret that I have made them. Now wait. Don't ever let somebody tell you again that God doesn't make mistakes. He just killed everybody on earth but 8 people. He wiped out all the birds except the few he put on this boat, this ark. It never happened. I just did a video. If you go back down 4 or 5 videos, you'll see a comprehensive, open the video, a comprehensive look at the biblical flood. But this is what I'm saying. People are just running their mouths saying cliches of what people say. God doesn't make mistakes. Yes, he does. He made one before he could get out of Genesis chapter 6. Well, he made a mistake back in Genesis 1 because that's when he created man. He just said in Genesis 6, I'm gonna kill all of you. I regret it. I made you. I hate your guts. So don't tell me. Don't preach these kind of things to me in the cliches and come around me saying it, because I don't want to hear it. Okay? I don't want to hear it. Okay, so this is why I'm saying we were told to believe all of the Bible or none of it. That was a requirement. That in order to accept God, you got to accept every word of the Bible. And I'm just showing you how they have deceived us, how they have misled us, how have they have kept us mentally enslaved into a system that was never designed for us. Okay? This God been killing everybody since Genesis 6. But thou shalt not kill. No, he was killing everybody before Genesis 6. Okay, so no, but back again, he killed everybody back in Genesis 6 on earth. Then in Exodus 32, after Moses had come down from the mountain with the 10 commandments, and he saw the people running wild, and that Aaron had let them get out of control. And then you go down to verse 27, then he said to them, he's talking to the Levites, and he said to them, this is what the Lord, the God of Israel says, each man strap a sword on his side, go back and forth through the camp from one end to the other, each killing his brother, his friend, and neighbor. And the Levites did what Moses said, and 3,000 people were murdered and killed that day. This is right after Moses came down from the mountain with the 10 commandments. So he still got the 10 commandments in his hand, and God is telling them to kill all of them. So don't tell me God doesn't make a mistake. Don't tell me that God isn't the one that's in the Bible that's doing all of the vicious things. The devil only killed 10 people in the Bible and scriptures, and he needed God's permission to do it. Okay, it's a riddle book. I try to say this in my videos because it is a riddle book. And if you don't see it and understand it to be a riddle book, you will never look for the riddle. And the riddle in this book is the one that they're saying is God is the evil one, and the one that they're saying is the devil is not. It's all mythical. It never happened the way they say it happened. God makes mistakes all the time. God healed millions of people. This one. Okay? So I'm going to say, Ashe, I'm going to do, I have a lot of material. But I'm going to do some videos on why were books removed from the Bible. All of the books that were removed from the Bible were removed because it took away the divinity, and the salvation could only come through Jesus Christ. I think it's Enoch teaches that they made up heaven and hell. So they had to take that out because, hey, if I'm telling you that you got to do all of these things to get to heaven and hell, and you get to the book of Enoch, and he says that, you know, they made up this story of heaven and hell because without something to believe in to be punished, they would just run wild. So the Bible is telling, see, you know, the Bible, when they used the Bible and came into Africa, when they came to America, everywhere that they went and colonized, the weapon that they used was they convinced people that we didn't have any morals. We're moralists, we're heathens. God doesn't like us the way we are. He doesn't like anything about us because we're heathens. And they told us all the things we need to change. First thing you have to do is accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. Then you need to work on all of these things. And for the last 500 years, we haven't done enough still to be accepted by Jesus and this God they sold us. And if you're paying attention, this country is the new apartheid. There's no way, and all of them are saying that they're Christians and that this is, that Donald Trump he's a divine sent by God to do a divine mission. These people believe that crap. Okay, so I'm out. I tapped out. I don't want to have anything else to do with it. I'm not in the believing business. I try to keep myself away from those. I went to a funeral. And the preacher said, we're all believers in here. And I got up and walked out. No, we're not. I'm not a believer. Okay? So I'm just saying these things because I want you to get a clear picture that we can't believe that the Bible is infallible, perfectly written, and error-free. You should never believe everything in that Bible. You shouldn't believe anything in the Bible that's historical. And anybody that's coming to you telling you that you need to believe all of the Bible or none of it, you need to tell them, I choose to believe none of it. Well, I won't believe any of it. And if I can't know it, then stop telling me that all I need to do is believe it. I'm going to say Ashe. Everybody have a great day.